This guy shows up late. He's in a suit. He's all, he's dressed up pretty nice. And there were no seats left except in the very front. And so he sat in the very front. We had a, packed house. And my wife does the presentation. And afterwards, because he was right up front, she said, "Hey, thanks for coming. What'd you like about the presentation?" And he said, "I work 70 hours a week." He said it like a boast. What would the average person do that just looked at it as a self-contained question? They would just say, the two concepts for you to handle more objections and close more sales, the two concepts you need to embrace to do that with maximum proficiency is posture and position. Posture is managing the energy of the conversation. Position is knowing where the prospect is. And your goal, if you want to be a better closer, is to move people up position. So there's a saying that says, always be closing. That's actually not good advice, because unfortunately, a lot of network marketers take that to heart, and they are always closing at the wrong time, with the prospect in the wrong position, with the wrong posture. So when you're always closing and you're out of position and not in the right posture, it comes across as very annoying. And that's where a lot of network marketers are. They just go to people and they really just annoy them. It's what, understand that everything people think about network marketing is not because of the model. It's not because of the model. Like, just think about it. Who on planet Earth is just offended at the model? Oh, you're going to pay me to introduce people to something forever? And then anyone they introduce, I get paid on too? Ooh, I hate that. No one's offended by the model. Not turned off by network marketing. They're turned off by network marketers. And the network marketers that have turned them off are the people who are always trying to close out of position and not in the right posture. Is this making sense? Is it making sense? So it's not the model. No one's offended by the model. No one's like, I can't believe they're going to pay me to refer people, and anyone they refer, I get paid on too. Oh, that's so disgusting. No, it's not. No one's offended by that. No one thinks that's a terrible idea. Well, what they have observed is they've observed network marketers just not be great at it. Just be terrible. And so you got to understand posture and position if you want to know how to handle objections and you want to close more sales. Here's what I mean. Most people who aren't good at handling objections and closing, each objection is like this. It's like this self-contained thing. So you're with the prospect and they ask this question, and you see this question as a self-contained thing that you need to handle. And so you'll answer this question, and then you'll come back to the conversation. That's not the way to handle objections. How you handle objections is, first, you want to listen, okay? You want to listen for the objection. Ask yourself, what are they really asking? And how do I, in a postured way, move them up in position? How do I, in a postured way, move them up in position? And so just a recap of position for those that don't understand that. When you go to a prospect and you don't know anything about them and they don't know anything about what you're doing, and I don't mean relationship-wise, I mean interest in what you're selling, they're at position 0. So if you ask them something like, would you be open to taking a look at what I'm doing to make extra money? And they say, well, yeah, tell me more. Okay, position 1, they've raised their hand. If you said something like, well, I got a video does a better job than I could do of explaining it. Can I send you over this video? And they say, sure. Position 2. You reach out to them. Hey, did you get a chance to watch the video? Yes, I watched it. Position 3. That's a hot prospect right there. Doesn't mean you're ready to close, because you shouldn't always be closing, but you're just in a very high position. And in the absence of progress, you fall back on position. Hit that like button if this is making sense, if this is helpful. So when someone hits you with an objection, it's not, let me just answer this self-contained objection. It's, how do I, in a postured way, answer the objection and move them up in position? Making sense? Let me give you an example. Here's one of my favorites. It's not me, actually. It's from my wife. So my wife, we were doing a presentation many years ago, and this guy shows up late, and he's in a suit. He's all, he's dressed up pretty nice. He shows up late, and there were no seats left except in the very front. And so he sat in the very front. We had a packed house, and my wife does the presentation. And afterwards, because he was right up front, she said, hey, thanks for coming. What'd you like about the presentation? And he said, I work 70 hours a week. He said it like a boast or something. And so what would the average person do that just looked at it as a self-contained question? They would just address the time. They would just say, oh, well, you can do this in minutes a week. It doesn't take it'll barely add anything to your, right? They would do some kind of play small kind of response. Well, you could just do this on the side part-time, an hour a week, right? They would typically would play small and give some kind of baby answer, but that wouldn't move this person up in position typically, and it's not postured. So you want to answer objections, you want to handle objections in a postured way that move them up in position, or at least have the chance to do that. So most of the times when you're handling an objection, you're not handling the objection, you're handling the mindset of the person that asked the objection. Someone say mindset. You're handling the mindset of the prospect who asked the objection or who brought up the objection, if it's not an ask. It's making sense so far. And I'm going to tell you a brilliant answer. I was very proud of her. And so he says, I work 70 hours a week. And her response was, oh, how long do you have to do that for? And all of a sudden, he's like he thought that was a flex. He thought that was, oh my goodness, well, thanks for coming by. Clearly, you don't have time. Or some kind of non-postured answer. She answered with extreme posture, and it challenged the mindset of the prospect who brought up that objection. How long do you have to do that for? Powerful. You're not going to read that in a script book. Typically, it doesn't seem like the appropriate answer, but postured answers often aren't the most obvious. So I'll give you another one. I was on a three-way call, and we start the call off like this. We start the call off with the prospect says, "I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked." How many have ever had one of those? It's like, great, awesome, wonderful. Glad we're talking. So he said, "I tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked." Now, what would the amateur do? The amateur would say, well, this one's different. It's got a great comp plan. We teach you and show you, right? They would do some kind of wimpy song and dance, trying to allure them into their magic fantasy land. Me, I need to address it right now. So he said, I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them have ever worked. I said, well, what makes this time any different? See, in the absence of progress, fall back on position. What's the position? He's on the call. We wouldn't be on the call if there wasn't any interest. So I said, what makes this time any different? Now, you usually know you're handling with posture because it usually gives them a pause. Like they don't usually quickly come back after that. When my wife said, ooh, how long do you have to do that? He was like, he had to think about it for us. He had to process this because she's literally warping his mindset. So when I said, well, what makes this time any different? He paused. He's like, he's searching in his mind, what does make this time any different? And so there was a long pause. And then he said, well, I'm coachable. I need to make money, Oh, okay. See, now he's pitching me. Now, later in the conversation, he said, now he had told me, what did he tell me? He said, I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked. So I logged that. See, some of you, when you handle objections, you handle them as these self-contained things and you forget they even brought them up. Me, database. So you say something to me in a prospecting, I'm storing that for later. I'm going to remember you saying that because I need to access it if I need to. I may not need to, but I got it. We talk in prospecting. I remember every one of your answers and everything that you've said. It's going to go in there. I may not remember it forever, unlike the story. I mean, this was a million years ago. And so he says, I've tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked. So I held on to it. I'm like, got it. I may need to reference that later. I don't see it as a self-contained thing. It's part of the process, it's part of the sales process. So later in the same conversation, he says, well, tell me about the comp plan. I said, did you know the comp plan of those other companies? He said, I sure did. And I said, guess it didn't matter. And I let that land. He was barking in order. Tell me about the comp plan. That's exactly how he asked it. I said, oh, did you know the comp plan of those other companies? I sure did. Guess it didn't matter. I can say that because he's told me he's tried a bunch of these things and none of them ever worked. Maybe it's not knowledge comp plan. That's the key to success here, at least for this guy. I'm trying to help him. And so I said, guess it didn't matter. And he was, I couldn't see his face, but I imagine it was like something like that. And I said, listen, if you're coachable, we'll show you how to make money in this company. But that's up to you. You can learn the comp plan, but from your past experiences, it sounds like that's not the key to success. So it's up to you. I'm not going to teach it to you. There's a video online. If you want to watch it, watch it. But see, how would most people handle that? Most people would say, oh, yes, let me tell you about it. There's 7 levels and there's this and that and this and you would explain all this big comp plan, which he wouldn't remember, wouldn't understand. Same state. He's starting off the exact same way he started every single company. And so if you want to learn how to handle objections and close more sales, you have to be thinking about, how do I, in a postured way, change the mindset of the person that gave me this objection and move them forward in position? That's the key. It's the absolute key. It's the absolute key. And so I hope this is helpful to you. If you want to learn this process, I talked about 2 of the 4 Ps. If you want to learn all 4 Ps, you can go to higdongroup.com/4P. It's a pretty nice little deal, I think. And so I appreciate you so very much. God bless you. God bless your family. I hope that this is helpful to you. And again, thank you for those that grabbed the book. Please, if you get a chance, leave an Amazon review. 30 of you already have. 30 5-star reviews is magnifique. Thank you so much and have an amazing, amazing day. Talk to you soon. Bye for now.